Punk Revolution now. Take a wild guess who is once again in the middle of a bunch of drama and criticism and controversy, basically on Twitter for being a freaking idiot. You guessed it, Anthony Fantano. This guy can't do anything right on Twitter. He needs to unblock me, and he needs to apologize for being a freaking idiot. In this particular controversy with rapper Isaiah Rashad, Anthony Fantano gets so fucking owned. It is extremely satisfying, so I really enjoy this. So basically what happens here is we have Isaiah Rashad, who is a very talented rapper who's released already a number of very successful releases. He releases recently his sophomore album, The House is Burning, and The House is Burning just has a ton of hype going into it because Isaiah Rashad, like I said, he's released great albums. He took a long time to finally release this one because he was having some personal issues that really kind of dragged out the process to make this album, and finally it comes out. And I'm not kidding you with you folks, like, this Isaiah Rashad album is really, really fucking good. I love Southern hip hop, and this album is just like so smooth, such a wonderful, creative, and unique execution of Southern hip hop. I think it's fucking fantastic. And then take a wild guess what Anthony Fantano does. Anthony Fantano, being just Anthony Fantano, gives this album a 5 out of 10, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. I think that's a really important part of the story most people are not aware of, is that this album is not a 5 out of 10, no matter how you fucking process it. Anthony Fantano is always like, oh, I'm a music critic, it's my job to I just give my opinion, and if you disagree, well, it's just a music opinion, so back off. As if that's like a kind of like a blanket excuse and protects him from all criticism over the fact that sometimes his reviews, like this 5 out of 10, are fucking lazy and outrageous and probably are driven by fucking views rather than anything that has to do with the music, and that's outrageous. But this is the awesome part, which is Isaiah Rashad. I'm giving you so much credit here, Isaiah Rashad. This is so fucking badass. Despite the fact that Isaiah Rashad is inevitably gonna get a lot of backlash for this, Isaiah Rashad speaks out and criticizes Anthony Fantano for this with a tweet. You gotta check out this tweet. Let me read it right now. It's not experimental enough to excite him, basic enough to make him laugh, and too black for him to identify. My public persona isn't something to deconstruct, so he doesn't have much to review. I'm guessing it's just for views, if anything. Isaiah Rashad, you have earned so much fucking respect from me, because obviously with this tweet you're getting a ton of backlash, lots of people running to defend Anthony Fantano. Oh, Isaiah Rashad, you're so sensitive, you can't take criticism, you can't accept the fact that your album is mid, blah 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 blah. All that bullshit. No, Isaiah Rashad, I'm so glad you spoke up, because you perfectly captured everything that's just such bullshit about Anthony Fantano, where he's clearly just trying to get fucking views. Like, if you really don't like this Isaiah Rashad album, I cannot see you giving it anything lower than like a 6.5 out of 10. You still got to acknowledge there's lots of talent and creativity there, even if it's not your taste. And I can honestly see, if you really like this album, I can see someone giving it a 9 out of 10 or higher. I think it's really fucking dope. A 5 out of 10 is just fucking ridiculous. And of course, Anthony Fantano responds on Twitter to this tweet with a, honestly, what I perceive to be a very unsatisfying response. Anthony says, "You guys can lash out, psychoanalyze, or whatever out of disagreement with me. Comes with the territory. But no, I'm not genuinely out to make anyone feel bad about something they've made or enjoyed. And I really don't think I'm worth all the controversy. But have it your way. I'm not upset or anything, just responding to something somebody said and clarifying." So there you have Anthony Fantano. Obviously, he's not going to be able to give a very satisfying response because Isaiah Rashad basically fucking owned his ass and destroyed him so fucking hard there's no recovering for Anthony Fantano. Oh, I'm not worth the controversy. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. Ignore the fact that I'm the most fucking powerful music critic in the world, and I have the power to make or break your career, and if I give a lazy review, that could really fuck you over, all that jazz. And lots of people come running to defend Anthony Fantano, and then we get Punch, who is the president of Dawg Entertainment, the record label that releases Isaiah Rashad's music. Punch jumps in with a tweet. This is what he says. "How do you prepare to listen to and critique black music? What's your routine? Just curious because the black experience through music is pretty nuanced. Just wondering how you go about it." I want to give Punch a lot of credit for this tweet because it's very respectful, and he's asking some very valid questions that I think are incredibly important to ask when you're considering the power dynamics between Anthony Fantano, a white music critic who has a ton of power, versus these black artists who are trying to, they're trying to succeed. I think it's a valid question, but obviously this is going to get a lot of backlash and a lot of hatred because it's bringing up race, and of course, with the current political climate in the United States, you bring it up, you're going to get this whole freaking culture war, and that's exactly what you get. You got Lots of people saying, how dare you bring up race? There's nothing about this that has anything to do with race. Anthony Fantano was just reviewing your music. You're just using race as an excuse because you can't handle the fact that he didn't like your album. And then there's other people pointing out, well, you know, you're a white music critic with a lot of power and these black artists just released a fantastic album and you are basically using your power as a white man to give a bad review in order to create controversy, in order to gain more subscribers for yourself. You're literally devaluing the art of black people in order to profit yourself as a white person. Kind of all the worst things about American history repeating itself through Anthony Fantano. And honestly, I can totally see where you're coming from if you're skeptical that race has anything to do with it, if you think that it doesn't make any sense for Punch to bring up race here, but this is just so important for you to understand. This album is not a 5 out of 10 by any stretch of your imagination, especially not a light 5 out of 10. If you're wondering how could it go from like a 6.5 at the very worst to a 5? I think this album deserves probably closer to an 8 out of 10 at least. I need to listen to and think about it more. There's no way it's a 5 out of 10 though. As a black person on the receiving end of the score, you're gonna have some fucking questions you might wanna think about and talk about race, because that's an important part of the power dynamics here. So again, shout out to Isaiah Rashad and shout out to Punch for asking the tough questions, for standing up for themselves, for defending their art, even though they inevitably were gonna get a lot of backlash and criticism. And of course, this has spiraled out into freaking debates about the social justice warriors who are too sensitive and trying to make everything about race and blah blah blah, even though you can just imagine what all the fucking comments are saying. And I really do encourage you, if you are someone who thinks that it was unnecessary of Punch to bring up the race thing, I really want you to consider it from their perspective. And remember, this album is not a 5 out of 10. I don't think Anthony Fantano doing a bad job reviewing this album was like intentionally racist or anything. However, a lazy and poorly done review can have disproportionate consequences on black people, and kind of you can make the argument as kind of like a racist consequence, even though the intentions weren't racist. And this isn't the first time Anthony Fantano's done this. The same thing kind of happened with Red Veil a while back, a really talented, very young, up-and-coming black rapper who released great music, and Anthony Fantano gave very lazy critiques to. Again, you know, I don't think Anthony Fantano has these racist thoughts going through his head, but his actions as a very, very powerful person can unintentionally have racist consequences. And if you just take a moment to think about what's going on here, it's literally Anthony Fantano is such a bad music critic. Has such bad taste. He's so bad at critiquing music. He's literally falling into controversies. Like, this is the crux of the issue here, is like he did such a bad job reviewing an album. He's literally now being framed, possibly rightfully so, as a racist. And I do suspect that maybe Isaiah Rashad was onto something by saying, you know, he was probably doing it for views. I mean, I can see with my own two eyes, Anthony Fantano does a lot for views, and, you know, giving an artist an intentionally lower score than it deserves for views is something that I can totally see Anthony Fantano doing, and it's especially outrageous if that artist is black. That's just the truth. So that's my perspective on it. I am definitely on Isaiah Rashad's side and Punch's side and Top Dawg Entertainment's side. I think this is a great record. I'll review it soon because it deserves a real review that gives it a fair score. Let me know in the comments. Just tell me how big of a fraud Anthony Fantano is. And thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps my videos get more views, etc. It's very helpful. My channel's growing very fast because of all of you. Thank you so much. Punk Revolution now.